Well, welcome everybody. Danna here with Lean, Healthy, Ageless. And if you're a woman, 45 plus, looking to have your best health, your best vitality, your best body, no matter what your age, you are in the right spot. And one of our great privileges is being surrounded by amazing people. And one of those amazing people, these health professionals that are so cutting edge, is Dr. Nancy Rizzo. Well, I will tell you, as a woman going through breast cancer, I don't know what I'd do without you. And I'm serious, I might get teary because we do a weekly call and you're just coaching me every step of the way. You're a person that, I'm a former registered nurse, but I was a labor and delivery nurse. I don't know all this breast verbiage. I don't know what to expect. Never dealt with radiation. And so I know you don't tell me what to do, but you answer my questions. You help me understand things nutritionally, emotionally. You're a woman of God that has great faith, and you are a woman of great compassion. And I'm just so blessed that you're in my life, and I know you will bless many other people as well. So thank you for what you do. May God just expand your territory, because we need you, and we need more of your technology. Well, Nancy, there's so many things I respect you for, but before I get to interview you and ask some questions about some of the amazing things that you do with helping people regain their health and maintain their health, I'd love our viewers to just know a little bit about you, and I don't believe I could do you service by just reading a bio. So maybe go back to the beginning of your health, professional health journey, and if you want to share anything personal, that's fine too, but where did you start in the health realm, and where are you today? So take all the time you need.
Sure. Quick and dirty is that my undergrad is as a medical physicist, and that was a 5-year program to understand both medicine and physics and how they work together. Then went into my graduate program, which was radiation oncology therapy physics, to assist with physicians designing and delivering radiation for cancer. And I did that for 22 years. And at the last 15 years of which we're here at Mayo Clinic in Scottsdale, Arizona. And I also coach here the program of integrative medicine there, trying to bring a more holistic approach to medicine and understanding, and mostly, primarily for patients, because it's daunting. I started a club that was called the Glow Club. And so it was a little educational opportunity. Called the Glow Club. I still have it. Yeah. And
with the radiation glow.
Yeah. Well, it was glow from the inside, my dear. Healthy glow. Healthy glow.
Gotcha.
You know, unfortunately, when you're going through in oncology, you've had a diagnosis, you're having to learn a new language. Everything is daunting, and people are asking you to make decisions, life-changing decisions fairly quickly. And it's a deer in the headlights. And also, you're not given the time with your physicians. Unfortunately, it's routine for them, right? But it's not routine for you. It's your time. And so I created this class, and I took a patient and all their patients. I took to take the patient themselves, the family, so that we could step through the process. You and I both know that mind is the builder and the body will follow. And if you are thinking that this radiation is going to hurt you and damage you, you can't understand how you're going to heal, or it will help and benefit you in the long run. So the Glow Club was designed to assist people to really understand what the process was about, what's going to happen, how radiation works. But at the end of the day, it wasn't enough. I really wanted people to understand what they could do, body, mind, and soul, to contribute to their overall healing. I wanted them to know what it was safe to eat. When I'm working with people that were dealing with leukemia and were having whole body transplants for their blood, right? So that they could have a new, and we weren't talking to them about nutrition. We were still feeding them sodas and burgers. There's a big, huge disconnect, right? So that blew my mind a little bit. And then back in 1996, I was introduced to a technology out of Russia, and it's called Kirlian photography. It became a passion of mine. I ended up ordering a camera out of Russia and wanted to do research on it. So I went back to get my PhD on it, and as interesting things happen, you meet people along the way. And I met Dr. Bill Tiller, who is a Stanford professor. And he took me as one of his last PhD students, but of course I wasn't a part of the Stanford program because no university wanted to study this research out or this new device out of Russia. So I ended up going with another holistic legend is Dr. Norm Shealy. And he had created and started a university dedicated to mind, body, and energetic research. And so we did the research there. And I ended up getting my PhD out of that program, which was the Holos University eventually. But it was wonderful research to show how we could show the energetics of the body. And this pertains now to my own device that I have created. Back in 2006, I created my own device. In 2016.
What do you call that, Nancy? What do you call that?
Well, I call it now as Luce Med Technology. So it's light medicine. Luce is Italian, which is of course my heritage. And it is based on light. And what it does is literally measure the mitochondrial respiration. And if people don't know what mitochondria is the little energy producers in all of your cells. So your body runs on energy. Your food that you eat, the water that you drink, and other liquids that you drink, the air that you breathe, those three things come together, and the mitochondria use all three to produce your energy. And every single cell in your body, except for your blood cell, has mitochondria. And the mitochondria are responsible. One of the things that they produce is energy, which another form of energy is light. So it's pervasive, but people don't think of light being inside of their body. But in actuality, it's in all of your cells. So my equipment, my technology literally measures how efficient your body is at producing light, things that are creating metabolism changes and things. We measure head to toe. We can measure eyes, ears, nose, lungs, kidneys, the breast tissue, everything in your body.
And you can literally see the energy flow if it's optimal or
correct. If it's not, if it's missing.
Yes.
We have a mitochondrial problem that it isn't respirating appropriately. So you aren't using your metabolism. Your metabolism isn't working efficiently. So for whatever reason, we have to find that out, right? And so organs that can become congested, the liver, right? And your kidneys, all of your waste systems, are they being overburdened because of what we are environmentally exposed to? The food that you're eating, is it appropriate for you? Are you really utilizing that food? So there's a whole list of reasons and issues that can contribute to mitochondrial dysfunction in our world. And by measuring it, we can see it. Now, cancer in particular will have higher mitochondrial rates, right? You're going to use more energy. And so therefore it steps up and out in my scanning equipment so that I can identify it. Now, let me make a very clear caveat here. We are FDA cleared as an electrophysiology measurement tool. So we are recognized that we are measuring the electrophysiology, the energy that's being produced in the body. Am I cleared for cancer detection? No, but because this started with this whole thing with this technology started because I was able to identify my father's kidney cancer 6 months before other conventional diagnostics could identify it. For me as an oncology physicist, that began a passion of mine. And here we are several years later, almost 20 years later, and it's continuing to grow. So if I see something that's on the scan that is indicative or similar to a cancer that I have seen, or just indications that that's there, it's my obligation and responsibility to alert the patient that maybe this is something that you should get further checked out because it's of concern. I don't diagnose anybody with the technology, but we can certainly point to areas that have a high degree of concern. We do have research that allows us, first research allowed us to substantiate our ability to identify organs at risk for the FDA. And we have significant relationships, if you will, identification patterns of seeing if there's something wrong with the lungs, the liver, the kidneys, all of the 5 major organ systems. So it's been a interesting travel for the last almost 20 years, but it does help people to identify these issues.
Well, and I will say I've had that privilege of being scanned by you now 3 or 4 times. And I saw you recently. I was diagnosed with breast cancer on January 2nd. I saw you on the 3rd. and you could see exactly what they were seeing, and you could see it. And so you didn't have to tell me, go get it checked out, because obviously I was in process. But I wanted our viewers to know you exist. I wish you were in every city in America. That is the goal. But you're in Scottsdale, Arizona, and I know people travel around the country to visit you. I'm coming back out to see you in a few weeks. But I want people to know about you, Nancy, and to know I feel it's such an amazing tool, because I know from my husband's scans, from mine, from people that friends that I've brought to you, you can see areas of concern before people even feel them. To know that your your liver is not performing as well as it could, your spleen or whatever it is, and it's such a simple technology. I explain to the viewers, what does people think scan? They think their whole body's being scanned. Just share
Yeah.
exactly how the scan works. It takes
I
about 2 minutes.
recently met with an oncologist from Mayo who was really kind of funny. He was in for a scan himself, and he says, "Well, I'm kind of disappointed. You didn't ask me to take my clothes off or bend over or anything." He says, "This was really easy." So we did have a good laugh about that. But the scan itself is very simple. You put each of your 10 fingers on a glass surface, and when that's done, I click a mouse, and then it creates a high frequency alternating electromagnetic field that interacts with your tissue. It's totally non-invasive. It excites the mitochondria that is in your skin and in the nerve fibers, and as a result of that excitation, an image is produced. And then I have spent the last several years creating an algorithm that will automatically identify not only alterations in those images apart from norm, we quantify how far away from norm it is. And we give you then identification of patterns that could, suggest that we've got liver congestion, or we've got SIBO, or we've got other areas. It takes just 5 minutes to actually do the imaging. And then it's just another 7 minutes for it to be calculated up in the cloud. And then we produce a report for you.
And it's a beautiful full color report that you can see a visual. And Nancy, you interpret it and show us what you're seeing. And then, as such an amazing practitioner that you are, you have amazing nutritional background as well. So you are able to help people on this holistic quest. Because in my journey, as I'm going to have a lumpectomy coming up on February 10th. But I'm concerned. I'm concerned about radiation, and with your background in radiation, to have someone that I can bounce off of and do my part to minimize, hopefully, the long-term effects of radiation, the short-term, all of that, to prepare myself nutritionally for surgery, to help my body really kill off those cancer cells, to not support the proliferation of what is already there, and to stop future. There's so much we can do nutritionally, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
And so
Absolutely.
if we can even talk about maybe the top three, or one or two or three, whatever we have time for, protocols that you've put me on, and why. Because I know there are so many women they're concerned not only of breast cancer, but any form of cancer and illness in general. But the first thing that was new to me was an iodine protocol. Can you talk about why that is so important, and why it's missing in so many people's diets and their new supplement regimes?
Well, without getting too political with any of it, I mean, iodine is a natural supplement that's out there in our world, and we used to be able to be exposed to it in greater levels. As our society and our nutrition profile of our foods and things have gone down, the iodine content has also gone down. If you'll remember, there was a push a long time ago for iodized salt.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, that combination is not necessarily healthy for the body, but at least they recognized that there was a need for iodine exposure. And that has waned, and the education regarding iodine has also waned. Iodine, in its natural form called nascent iodine, you can also take potassium iodide with iodine. I tend to like just the iodine product itself. But iodine is a natural antibiotic, antibacterial, antiviral substance that so far there has been no bacteria or virus that's proven to be resistant to iodine.
Mm.
So that by itself to me is a benefit, because we have become antibiotic resistant in our world, and we tend to use antibiotics at the drop of a hat, which
Yeah.
further changes other things that are going on in our body. And again, without taking too much time in our work, Dr. Brownstein, David Brownstein, who is up in Michigan, is one of the forerunners, as well as Dr. Guy Abraham. And they did some lovely work about iodine as a natural supplement to the body. It's deficient, but it solves a host of issues that we are exposed to. And in particular for you, iodine, so that you know, not only does your thyroid collect iodine, but the breast tissue and reproductive tissues are some of the highest collectors of iodine in the body, right? So they act as natural antibacterial. Your breast, in particular, are lovely houses for bacteria. People don't understand it. We're just a great big bag of opportunity for bacteria and viruses, but your breast can collect that. In particular, if you've had any bowel issues over time, which we all are exposed to, leaky gut, SIBO, different things, but that bacteria can migrate and actually take up home in your breast tissue. I know this will sound heretical to many people. I do think outside of the box, way outside of the box, but breast cancer in large part is, one, due to iodine insufficiency, two, that there can be a bacterial aggregate as well as a fungal aggregate that can create a weakness. If it itself is not the cause, it can cause a weakness, an opportunity for cancer to take place. And so one of the things that I have been introduced to is the book by Dr. Brownstein. There is another book, and I'm getting the information here for you. There is The Iodine Crisis. It's by Lynn Farrow, and it goes on to further say what you don't know about iodine can wreck your life. And it's really a very, very good book, and it does talk about breast cancer. It does talk about many women that have used iodine, not only to ingest it orally, but to take it topically to further support the breast health and so forth. There's another book by Dr. Mark Circus that is also very, very helpful. And its name is Healing with Iodine, Your Missing Link to Better Health. And he is another health resource that got fed up with the US and how things are approached, and he now works outside of the US. There is some type of unfortunate misconception regarding iodine, and it's scary and it can be threatening. I invite everybody to read these resources and become informed on your own. But I have personally benefited from it my own health, but I have watched it benefit many people that I have been working with now for actually a couple of years.
And I find it interesting because, you have me on a whole protocol for fungus, bacteria, all that. I'm not a person that gets yeast infections regularly or anything like that. So we may think, oh yeah, I don't have that kind of issue. We don't know. We can be running subclinical infestation of things that is bringing things that are bringing our immunity down and not know it. But the Luce Med scan can alert you to organs in our body that are in distress.
Absolutely. And so yeast is always present in our body. It's present on your skin. It's present everywhere. It's just a factor of our life. The curious thing that you say here about, well, I don't have yeast infections, I don't have these other manifestations. Think about it this way. By the time it does get to that, it is so overgrown that you have it in your mouth. You can create thrush. Babies have thrush. We know that's when the yeast gets out of balance from too much milk, right, in the dairy. Well, what people don't realize is it's going on throughout your body. And by the time it manifests in these different areas, it has grown out of incredible proportions. But we constantly have it going in our body. It isn't just in those areas, it is in your gut, and it gets jammed up into the liver, the spleen, the pancreas, in your breast tissue, unfortunately, and the reproductive organs.
And so this iodine protocol, getting on whether it's a therapeutic dose if needed, and then a standard daily dose, this is something we can address for life. This is not just when we're in a health crisis like I'm in right now. This is
Absolutely.
for everybody, no matter what your wellness is today.
It's a basic foundation for good health. It includes the iodine itself. And to activate iodine in your body, you need good selenium. And that's again because of our nutrition of our soil has been depleted. People are also deficient in selenium. So to activate the iodine, you need the selenium. Then you take magnesium glycinate on top of that, and then you're taking the vitamin C in whole form, not ascorbic acid. As a matter of course, magnesium we know we're always deficient in. When we have high stress, we tend to use more of the magnesium and we spill it out of the body. So you need lots of doses of that. Vitamin C we know is just a good anti-inflammatory, and it's a good for our immune system. So those four substances, if you take no other supplements, I think personally, these are a basis foundation for good health.
I love it. Okay, I'm going to just take a pause there. Do you have time to talk about my nutritional protocol and why I'm doing it for cancer?
Sure.
Okay, so I'll ask you that question and then you can. Okay, Nancy, so when I was diagnosed and I got my scan and you gave me some specific supplements to take, you also recommended I go on a more alkaline, more plant-based diet. Can you explain why that is so important? Why, even what I would consider my relatively healthy diet where I don't eat a lot of processed food, I don't eat a lot of grains, some, but not a lot. But nevertheless, I was eating a significant amount of protein, dairy, and so forth. This is a big change for me, but I can see my body responding. Why was this so important for me, and why is it important not only for people that have, cancer or breast cancer, but just for general health?
So at the very top level, we don't have a whole bunch of time to go into all the specifics about acid versus alkalinity, but the foods that I have you eating to build alkalinity tends to reduce inflammation as a whole around the body. When inflammation is reduced, then the normal functions of the immune system can do what it's supposed to do, not focusing on the problems of where am I getting all this inflammation from, right? So we want to do that. The second thing about alkalinity and building that is it basically is plant-based. You're not overwhelming the liver with all of the fats and some of the toxins that come in with animal products. We lessen that. So I typically really like to see people on an 80% plant-based, 20% animal, so that we can really achieve an alkalinity. Again, your greens are coming from alive things. They're not dead. They're not processed. That's so important because they come in with that energy for you. It reduces, again, the inflammation and it quiets the gut. Now, again, depending on where your gut is and where you start, it can be hard to start with a lot of raw fruits and things like that. But a basics for health is an 80% good green diet that is truly alkaline, so that builds the immune system, reduces systemic inflammation. You want the inflammation as low as possible to boost your immune system. There are other resources, and if you and I end up doing this some more, we can provide some of those resources for you.
Okay. I just want to ask one more question. I'll edit this little part out. I want to just ask the question about immunity and cancer. I know a lot of people know they're linked, so I'm just going to ask it this way. So Nancy, we know there's a connection between our immune system and cancer. In a kind of a simple layperson's terms, how does that work? If I can boost it up, my body has the ability to literally stop this cancer from proliferating?
Well, if the immune system is functionally normal, it can recognize fungus or bacteria that are the culprits in most situations for the development of the cancer and start to fight them normally, right? Without that, the immune system is just swamped, and so the cancer has this opportunity to grow without being checked. The insidiousness about cancer itself is that it injects its DNA into your normal cells, and that's why we don't see it. Your body is always fighting yeast, bacteria, and it can see it as something foreign than itself. But when the cancer overwhelms the immune system, that's when we have the problem. So if we boost the immune system, boost the alkalinity, the body has a stronger ability to fight the cancer itself, tear down cells that are not normal or proliferating out of normal aspects, right? Because we're supposed to recognize that. There's a whole host of more complex issues that are going there that we can recognize. But once the immune system has the ability to just function, Dana, we have to understand that most people walk around and their immune system is being constantly stressed by environmental toxins that they're exposed to. That doesn't even cover the emotional aspects that are present that beat down our immune system, our stress system. And people are doing all that they can just to survive instead of thrive. And so the diets and the things that we are talking about is to help you start to thrive. And once the body can thrive, then other things can take a back seat and we can get over that. We can have, what do you call it? We can arm wrestle a little bit better the cancer and break it down in the body.
Awesome. Thank you, Nancy. So, Nancy, I know people are thinking, I wish I had Nancy like Danna does to advise. Well, share with everybody how people can reach you and what you can do, whether they live, across the country or nearby in Scottsdale.
One of the things that feed my soul and always has is being a patient advocate. That's why I got my certification in functional medicine, and helping people understand what lifestyle changes, body, mind, and soul, can help promote good health and overall well-being. So I am glad to do coaching both locally and remotely. So we can set up phone calls, we can do whatever works for you, to help support you through whatever process. It doesn't have to be cancer. It can just be anything else, the gut problems and so forth, just to help you do better. I can be reached at my website, and you can also give me a call that's on my cell, which you can give out to folks after this interview.
That's awesome.
Thank you, my dear. I greatly appreciate it very much.
Thank you for sharing your time today, Nancy.